Since his graduation from Jamestown High School in 1997, Anthony Barone has taken his love of baseball into a lifelong career in sports. He started playing as a youth in Jamestown. He was a standout player at JHS in baseball and basketball, where he was first-team All-ECIC and a Post-Journal All-Star. He then took his athletic talent to Jamestown Community College and was captain of the baseball team at the time of his graduation in 1999. He was also named one of JCC's 50 greatest athletes. Anthony finished his college baseball playing days at Felician College in Lodi, New Jersey, where he was an academic All-American, and in 2001 returned to Jamestown Community College and served as an assistant baseball coach and was promoted to head baseball coach in 2005, serving in that capacity until 2012. And during that time, he was named NJCAA Region 3 Coach of the Year in 2008. In 2015, the Jamestown Jammers of the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League hired Anthony as their manager, where he took the Jammers to the playoffs in 3 years, the championship series twice, and won the league championship in 2018 under and during his tenure with the Jammers. Anthony was named a two-time Manager of the Year. Seeing his success as a manager, the Jammers ownership promoted him to the Milwaukee Milkmen of the American Association of Professional Independent Baseball, where he served as an assistant coach and was named manager in 2020 and led the Milkmen to the American Association Championship in his rookie year and the Eastern Division title in 2023. Anthony was also a coach on the international level at the Merida, Mexico, and Dubai United Arab Emirates. Anthony now splits his time between Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Jamestown, New York, and I'm honored to introduce Anthony Barone as an inductee of the class of 2025.
Good evening. That's going to be quite a tough follow Tom Anderson there. That was a great speech, and just want to say good evening. First, I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this outstanding opportunity to join some of the most decorated athletes, coaches, and sports personalities in the history of Chautauqua County. Congratulations to the other 2025 inductees. It's quite a class, and it's just an honor to be here with them. I have a lot of, familiarity with a lot of these guys, so it makes it even more special. And like I said, next my thanks goes to my family. My children that are here, Nathaniel, AC, Liliana, Hannah, Sergio, my wife, Megan. She's sort of been the rock of all of this. She's my best friend. She's, my recruiting coordinator. She sits up at night watching videos of baseball players that I'm trying to get. My travel agent, the list goes on. She's been there for all of it. My mother, my father, for bringing me up the way that they brought me up, and always telling me how hard work pays off in the end. And I try to instill that with my children as well. Nothing's easy, and we're all here for a reason. The inductees could all probably tell you the same thing. The family, the push that they get from their family and friends and their coaches makes the biggest difference. I want to thank a lot of my prior coaches, teammates, co-workers, a couple guys here tonight. Frank Jagoda, who Frank spoke earlier for the Tarp Skunks. Frank was a player for me, coming from University of Buffalo. He then was a coach with me, my pitching coach, and now he's just been a really good friend throughout all these years. Austin Alonge, who's back there. Austin's a Westfield guy. I actually coached him back when he was playing for Mercyhurst University, and we also then became co-workers as I was managing the Jammers. He was our general manager, and just a lot of, these two guys have been with me for a lot of the ups and downs of the career. I see Tommy Tantillo back there. Tommy was a player of mine at JCC and also coached with me in Wellsville, New York, summer of 2013. He was my assistant, and he could tell you all the stories from out in Wellsville, New York, from living in a funeral home to the drives to the ball games and some of the things you do just to make it. But all these lessons you learn, I talk about it. It's a lifestyle when you get into sports. and it's something I can't, thank my family and my friends and my coaches enough. I have my aunts, my uncles that are here, Aunt Joanne, Aunt Jackie, and Uncle Greg and Uncle Richard. Just everything that family does to get you, to the point of this, in your career. But first, I'm just going to start back to 1984. My love of the game became an obsession. I was 5 years old. Wasn't a normal 5-year-old. My mornings consisted of getting up, reading box scores from Major League Baseball games. Most kids wake up, get ready for school, watch cartoons. That wasn't me. I was watching SportsCenter when it first came out, and I was living in Toledo, Ohio. My father was going to school out there. My mother was working, and we were living in a duplex out there. I can still remember it like yesterday. And me and my sister, and we'd get up, and I'd watch the 1984 Detroit Tigers, Alan Trammell, Lou Whitaker, Chet Lemon, Jack Morris. They were like bigger than life to me. And that, I soaked it all in. And that year they won the World Series, and I became, I was hooked. I was hooked on baseball and sports. So it's something I still remember so vividly. I was only 5, but that sort of shaped my passion. Fast forward to my youth, we moved back to Jamestown, and so many of my youth coaches made such a big difference. My first experience in Bambino League while playing for consistory, I can still remember my first coach, Dale Melquist. Dale was a great guy, and he, it's always one thing having your father teach you the game, but when you have your first formal coach, they can sometimes get to you more than a parent can. You sort of listen to them, and and Dale was my first baseball coach, and he continued that passion for me, and that love of the game. And basketball was also a big passion of mine, and I still remember my first YMCA youth practice. It was at Love School, and my coach was the late Tom Butafaro. And he was so fun. I can still remember going to practice at Love School, and he would make it challenging, but he would make everything fun, and the kids really enjoyed playing YMCA basketball. And that's how we grew up back, I don't know how it is nowadays, but we grew up playing YMCA basketball and Bambino League baseball, and you made your friends, and you were whatever team you were on, you sort of represented that team when you were in school the next day and that week, so you were always, back then YMCA basketball was bigger than life, and we loved going to those games. And like I said, Tom Butafaro was a great leader of kids when we were there. But I started realizing I had an ability with sports at a young age, and tried to dedicate myself to both academics and athletics. It was always preached to me by my parents. One didn't come without the other, and it is important. And I really still try to preach that to my children. And we always talk about family, faith, and education and your academics. And those things, it was instilled in me at a young age from my grandparents, my parents. But yeah, and the other thing, a lot of you guys that are here, the biggest part of my story, I think, is Jamestown, New York, and what Jamestown is. It played a crucial part of who I am, how I got to this point in my journey, to grow up here, playing youth sports, high school sports, and Aaron Leeper's over here, playing for the Red Raiders, and that was a big deal back then, playing for the Red Raiders and wearing those colors. And you had to be tough. You had to be tough when you played for Jamestown. Nothing was ever given. The pride, the commitment were different than any other place. Athletics was a melting pot for all the student athletes from various backgrounds. I love the relationships I made at JHS. I think back to those days all the time, and those were some of my best days. I see Scott Kinberg here, and he used to cover our games, and it was a joy. And it was just such a diverse population in Jamestown, and the type of kids you grew up with, and I'll never forget that. And I think that shaped me to who I am now. And I see 2025 inductee Coach Ron Frederis back there. He was my varsity basketball coach, and I hadn't seen Coach Frederis in about 30 years now. He hasn't changed. He was demanding. He told me, Anthony, be careful what you say, because I'm going to be speaking after you tonight. So So he was demanding, disciplined. He expected work ethic from his players. Now that I've coached for a better part of 20 years, I expect the same. Coach Fredress took our team to great heights, and I learned a lot of what it was to become a man. He expected toughness, fight, and grit, and those are all characteristics of being born and raised in Jamestown. And I really, think, back in the day when your coach is tough on you, you don't see it in the same scope as you do when you get older. But Coach Fredress was one of the most intelligent coaches I've been around, and the X's and the O's. And there was one day, though, Sirianni's might remember this. Back in 1996, I was a junior. We were playing Southwestern High School, opening night, and Coach Fredress probably remembers this. We had a lot of high expectations that year, and Southwestern actually came to our house on opening night and beat us. I'll just say we didn't touch a basketball the next couple days at practice. And we also didn't lose another game for the next 18 in a row. So Coach Fredress knew how to get the most out of us, and he was great, and congratulations to him. But after that, going on to my college career, I had a pretty devastating wrist injury. Sort of changed the course of my life, actually. I put my arm through a window, severed a tendon my senior year right after the baseball season. I was supposed to go somewhere else. I ended up, didn't know if I was going to play sports again. But I ended up going to Jamestown Community College. They took a chance on me. Played baseball for Kerry Kellogg and basketball for Mike Cordovano. Both guys really good, leaders of, once again, I always say, they grew us into men. I see Henry Leeper over there. Henry played for Coach Cordovano, and Chris Olson I see back there. And they could tell you a lot about Coach Cordovano and Kerry Kellogg, and it was they taught the game where you had to be tough, and they expected a lot out of you. They taught it the professional way. After my 2 years there, I earned a scholarship to Felician University in New Jersey. Developed great friendships, obviously, there. But my love of the game, I wanted to make it a career, and that's sort of what I decided to do. I went to college, earned a degree and all that, but I knew right away I wanted to coach baseball the rest of my life. Got back into it with my old head coach, Kerry Kellogg. After I was graduated, he gave me a spot as an assistant, and then I became a head coach for 7 years at JCC. But it was always about the players. Any good coach will tell you it's always about the players, and they give you so much that you can't give them. They're the ones out there battling day in, day out, sweating, bleeding, giving so much to you. So the players are always the thing that makes you a great coach, I believe. So yeah, some of those great accomplishments, but it wasn't the winning on the field. At the junior college level, it was about, our players graduating, moving on, earning scholarships. My journey sort of spanned from there to Division I, Cal State Bakersfield, then back to the Jamestown Jammers for 4 seasons. And my time with the Jammers was possible because of our GM right now, Dan Kinsey, owner Mike Zimmerman. Both supported me in my career. It's important to have the support from the people up top at the professional level. At that spot, it's about winning. And but it was so nice in 2018, the last year of the Jammers. It was my last year here. Probably my favorite moment of my career because we won a championship for my hometown, my city. It's a humbling experience when a city that gives you so much growing up, you can do something back for them. And when you win championships, it's always about your family and all the sacrifices they make. Your children, your wife, your family, the hours that you're not around. I deal with that right now too, just being half the time in Milwaukee and half the time here in Jamestown. It takes a lot of discipline and effort from your children and your family to get you through those things. But yeah, it's been a long career, and my dreams have never changed. They evolve as I get older. But I put my faith in my family, and my profession is on top of all that too. So But there's so many people here that have touched my life, and it's an honor to be inducted with this class in 2025. Thank you.
Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah. Awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.